up going here, if it'll be Canyon's pick or if it will be the Burdol Graves.
It's great. I mean, you have flexibility, as you mentioned. The Gwen can go into the jungle. We've seen Graves in the jungle this week many times.
And there's the Jace. And now that you have the Jace, I think you feel a lot more comfortable putting Gwen in the jungle. You don't want to lose the early control over that lane. And then you put Graves in there where he's going to be able to outlast. Then he can take his Hullbreaker. We'll see what they decide. Well, that's my take on this.
I mean, Danny is laughing a lot, which makes me feel like we'll see Gwen jungle. But with this last swap coming in, perhaps not.
Yeah, it looks like not. Either way, the Graves is going to have a lot of power, you know, in the late part of the game versus a Xin Zhao who can engage early. And I think KT Rolster, their draft synergy is very disconnected. They have both pick potential with this Ari early on. She can side lane fairly well.
It's one of his favorites in the jungle. As we will jump onto the Rift here for game number 1. And this is going to be a fun one. One thing I do want to mention is that there is a lot of magic damage on the side of DWG KIA. Not a lot of champions on the side of KT will build magic resist, but I suppose that Cuzz, you know, if they do get ahead, he can build a lot of magic resist items and then have Karma to back him up. Could be a force to be reckoned with and deny a lot of that damage, especially from ShowMaker and Burdol.
Yeah, that's another reason why I thought perhaps the Graves top would be a good answer, because you're going to have a little bit more gold, you're going to have a little bit more opportunity to itemize, tanky and be more damaging. Like, your damage throughput is better. And also, Burdol, you know, he's playing this Gwen, he's going to have a hard time in the lane. Canyon has more dueling power against Cuzz in the mid-game, actually, with the Gwen than a Graves will have. But it is Canyon, and he plays extremely well. We'll see how Cuzz does, and if he even really interacts with him that much in the early game in a draft like this, which is so black and white, I think, in terms of control. Bot lane could be fairly neutral here. The top side of the map, though, it is going to be Rascal pushing hard in the early parts of this.
Yeah, taking a look at some of the runes, we did have 6 biscuits, which is okay. I mean, especially in a game like this where you're really trying to get ahead, I think it's passable. One thing that was interesting is that Rascal on the Jace, he actually took Gathering Power instead of Scorch. I think that Scorch is very common just to try to... well, this is a lot of damage that Kellin has taken, but he will be okay. But yeah, you usually take the Scorch on the Jace just to really try to lane Kingdom, but I think it's Rascal showing respect to Gwen's potential early on, as we do have the Ignite going down onto life, and he is taking a bunch of damage in the trade. Nobody's actually looking for the kills here, though. Both heals still available.
Both the heals available, he's still sitting on pots, and with the health bars, you know, at level 1, you're going to be able to heal through with your level up, etc. too.
Oh, does he have trap? Yes, he does. That's another great trade there for deokdam and Kellin.
Yeah, forcing out the heal this time. So even though Karma Ezreal will push a lot of lanes and will stave off some of the pressure against a lot of laners that have the Enchanter support, in this case it's very difficult, as Burdol is laning very well through these early stages. Scorch, you know, going to help you out, but I think this was really just well played by him. Whatever happened up there, we didn't see, but trades you normally don't get, and the CS difference of 1 is usually not the lead that a Jace is looking for this early on. You're usually looking for about a wave of extra pressure. It's not getting it.
Yeah, we might have our first question answered here in a little bit. We do have Cuzz up on the top side. He did skip Raptors and his Gromp, so potentially looking for a faster play up to the top side of the map here. There is a ward from the side of Burdol, and KT do know about it, so it does look like Cuzz will just continue back into the jungle.
Yep, he's backing off. Burdol just farming freely here. It does make the Jace pick in the early game feel a little bit worse when you're not able to have much pressure. He's finally starting to put some of that on here. And bottom side of the map, this much control going over to the Lux Caitlyn is fantastic, right? In terms of what you're looking for. This is not the matchup win rate against the opponent, but just in general the combo. We've seen a lot more games, nearly triple here for Caitlyn Lux. Here we go.
Oh, man, this is an early trade. Burdol really trying to get ahead of Rascal. He's got Canyon coming up, but look at this. We have Cuzz here first. And that should be enough. The back timing is coming in. Canyon trying to shut this down, but with red buff Xin Zhao there, even though Canyon's up a level, he will respect it. And that's going to be first blood going into the hands of Rascal.
going to be interrupted here. Canyon losing a little bit more time himself, but yeah, this is the early power that you have as the Xin Zhao does respect a lot of that early trading. Decides, okay, I'm going to come up here. Rascal says, oh, we're gonna go for this. We're going to pull this off. And Canyon's a little bit late, but also as you mentioned, like what I was talking about earlier is the Graves against the Xin Zhao at this stage, especially with the red buff, you can't really get in there and do anything about this. As we will see, the event horizon is very annoying to deal with here in lane.
Yeah. ShowMaker not going for the leprechaun skin, respect, I suppose. Not sure exactly what the name of this skin is. It looks pretty cool, but not in my top 50%, I would say, as a Veigar player myself.
You guys are all about the Veigar skins. I just like the regular one.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. He looks pretty purple. Yeah. It's a charm will land, but ShowMaker's totally fine. I mean, he does take a bit of damage here, but he can definitely go back. He's got Predator, of course, on the Veigar.
Yep.
And he should be fine at least before Aria hits 6.
When Aria hits 6, it gets a little bit more hectic, but obviously Event Horizon can shut down some of that aggression and use it very defensively. As Rascal baits this out very well, aggressively trades, he has the minion wave here, then boops Burdol back. As this should have been pretty apparent for Burdol. Why he stays so long is because he's like, who's baiting whom? Because his jungler is also up there. Canyon is also looking for the play, but because he was just one step behind there, there's just no ability for him to turn that. There's getting duped there, and this is both top laners trying to set up a play, but it's Rascal who succeeds. So this makes this top side of the map a lot more open for plays now as KT, and this upcoming Rift Herald will become so much easier.
Yeah, it's a really big win. I mean, I think the communication in that case needs to be a little bit better from Burdol and Canyon, because Burdol was like, we are winning this 100%. There's no chance that Xin Zhao gets here first. When in fact, Canyon could say, okay, he could be in the tri-buff before me, and, maybe you want to play it a little bit slower. So I think if the collaboration was better there, it would have been better.
Interesting to note that Rascal hasn't played this champion in nearly 2 years. The last time he played it was in the spring finals against Kana.
Of 2020.
Yeah. So, very rare pick for him. Does not often like to play champions with no CC or no real solo kill potential. Cuzz once again duping Burdol. He's going to be fine though.
Good job by Jonas Strung. Duped us all. And just really showing a lot of pressure up to the top side. We'll see how Canyon does respond. Could go for this early Ocean Drake, especially with the Caitlyn Lux that is pushing in the bottom lane.
The other thing that, we've talked about a lot, and something I think Atlas likes to discuss a lot, is that Gwen can't build Hullbreaker, right? She's a non-Hullbreaker champion. She's not going to be able to build it to help stave off this pressure in the early game. And Jace doesn't need it anymore, and wasn't probably going to build it anyways. We've seen some Jaces build this, but I'm not going to talk about it. He's going for lethality instead, and is going to be a threat in these upcoming fights around the first few objectives, especially against these very, very squishy champions, the Veigar, the Caitlyn, the Lux. So he's actually feeling very good about this start. And unfortunately for Burdol, he doesn't have a lot of agency here for quite some time. He can turn this one around, and it is only one kill, but it's going to be a while before that happens.
Yeah, for now, just farming it out pretty evenly. I think it will be okay up there. Nice to see that Cuzz is being proactive, getting stuff done early on. I think that's something that we've called for. As Aria gets caught in the event horizon.
Yeah. You and I don't call it a baby cage. We don't do that here. I knew you were thinking about it, and then you were like, I'm not doing it.
I was thinking about it. Like, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it.
You and I were talking about that, and I saw the Veigar V2 tweet about it. And I'm like, I'm not going to call it a baby cage. I don't know where that started. Like, I'm not sure about this meme.
Yeah, I mean, to each their own, if that's what you want to call it. We have an actual fight down here as Ignite is used, and it will go the way of deokdam and Kellin. But yeah, we have some baby cage casters on, on this team already. Won't name any names, but it's not you and I, Wolf.
That's okay.
But that's okay.
Everybody calls things differently, And baby cage makes me baby rage, but it's okay. I respect our casters who do say baby cage. We just don't do it. You and I aren't big fans of it.
It's just a personal choice.
Yeah, just like we all have different skin preferences for Veigar.
Yeah, exactly.
If that charm hit, by the way, going back to like real serious talk, if that charm had hit, Cuzz was there to follow up, and that could have actually been a kill. So
watch the roam down.
Yeah, this is they have a lot of vision here, so they should be able to react accordingly.
Another trade up in the top side. Doesn't look like it's going to amount to too much. As Canyon is still on this Rift Herald. Feels like he's been working on this for a good minute or so.
The concern here for KT is that they need to stop this early because it looked like they were going to commit hard to backing their bot duo and rotating over, but they're going to lose plates if they do that. So they need to be very decisive, and they do come over here, shut down the Rift Herald start, the early start there from Canyon, and aiming is with his True Shot Barrage, able to stave off some of this pressure here. And at the end of the day, Caitlyn gets plates here. This is somewhat expected, but KT at least have some breathing room now to reset and start the Herald themselves with the respawns, or rather the backs, coming through. It's kind of tricky, though. You know, Damwon KIA have really put them in a tough spot here in terms of controlling this because they don't have the damage to rush it down early. The fact that Canyon was on there and pulling resources meant that KT had to make a tough call bottom as they don't know where Kellin is.
Oh, trying to land that, and there's the trap as well. Do they have the damage? Kellin's getting kind of zoned out here, but deokdam not quite able to finish the job. So Life will be able to get away with his flash. They did have to use heal to get him out.
A lot of damage onto this Lux, who has very low mana. And, you know, this could be the opportunity for KT to actually rush for Herald.
It is a Xin Zhao getting in there onto 2, trying to set this up, and he's just going to kill ShowMaker by himself. And now Aria's going to come over here. Canyon, nice flash. Otherwise, you were 100% dead, and a fantastic setup here from Cuzz.
Now they're going to be able to grab this first Drake. It's a very late first Drake at 11 minutes, and they should be able to turn this into a Herald as well. Bit of an awkward leash there with this Drake, because unfortunately the Ezreal can't come over to help. He's a little bit pushed in, and they're putting those vision pings down right now, showing, oh, okay, he knows where I am, he knows I can't come over this way. As they will take this, reset, and head over to Herald. And Canyon, he did have to flash earlier, did not have to back these Graves, so he's going to heal up pretty quick with this Scepter. And he could start this, but I don't think you realistically have enough control here as Damwon KIA to actually pull this off, and they are going to send their bot duo back. Like, you could have started this and have the Caitlyn Lux running over, but it's not realistic. And watch Cuzz. He's like, I'm coming, I'm fighting him. And then he Crescent Guards the Graves away, so this is essentially a 1v1. I mean, he even ulted the Crescent Guard, Canyon did there, so that's... I mean, the timing was almost perfect to where he actually hits it while the Crescent Guard is fading. But that was not the greatest look there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a couple of things, right? I think the Xin Zhao is pretty good into the Graves in general because his ult pushes him out of the Crescent Guard. Also, you know, talking about this top side, Rascal got 2 plates early as well. So, like, even though deokdam and Kellin were doing well on the bottom side, due to that first blood, Rascal has got a lot of control up in the top side. He got Eclipse really early on. I mean, we're talking 9 minutes into the game. So he's just been heavily pushing the top side as a ton of damage goes down onto aiming, but he will survive. Life going to block the bullet there. This is very good for Damwon KIA. They really need to get some big win in the bottom side because the top side of the map is going all KT's way.
It's definitely true. That is 100% the case. Is Canyon actually looking to try to push this further so deokdam can guarantee full plates here? And, you know, it just feels like whether it's Aphelios or not, you give him a winning lane, he's going to get all plates. As Rascal, this is a bit overzealous. Not going to actually go for it, but full plates to deokdam here at 13 minutes into the game. He's not going to be able to swap lanes and get anything topside. But he's going to get some free farm down here. This makes the power trough that we always talk about with Caitlyn a lot easier to manage. And, you know, for Damwon KIA, your win condition becomes a little bit more clear now. You know, we talked about how, if you get ahead or if there's some mistakes around early objectives, this comp does very well and can win there. Now you're just kind of sit back and win. Like, sit back and hope that KT can't get any further advantages. As plates going into an Aria here, feels good for now, but you're not going to feel as great about that in 20 minutes, right? So Damwon KIA really just need to stave off the pressure, make sure KT can't pick up any more kills. Aria will get this turret, which makes Veigar's farming a lot tougher. Oh, well, they actually can't quite get it.
Yeah, not going to get this turret very, very close, so they'll miss out on that final plate. But it's still a ton of gold that's going into this Aria as well. As, of course, the Xin Zhao, Cuzz, who has had a fantastic start to this game. So KT currently in the lead. They do have about 1,000 gold in the lead, but Damwon KIA trying very hard to control some of this vision around the Drake. It's not ready for 2 minutes, though.
The power of getting that mid turret, had they gotten it, I mean, obviously the final plate would have been amazing too, but if they had gotten that mid turret, the ability for Veigar and Caitlyn to farm the mid lane is so frustrating. And so now, you know, Veigar is pushing bot. I'm hoping that they're going to commit resources to actually push this turret down. I actually really respect how Dominant are responding here. Because as KT, like, if you get this turret, it's so much easier to deny a lot of farm, and you can even threaten the mid lane if deokdam is trying to farm. And the Q nerf to minions actually really comes into play in a game like this, where you just have to sit back and farm as Caitlyn. But the fact that they identify KT are probably going to group around mid, so look for a play there, and get this Veigar push to the side lane early is pretty nasty.
Kellin, as a support, not exactly great at setting up vision. He can check a lot of brushes with all of the vision that Lux can provide. But other than that, you're extremely squishy. And against champions like Ezreal, like Karma, like Jace, one false step, Aria as well. One false step, you're dead. So, good luck, Kellin. You're going to have a hard job this time around. Maybe just use your abilities instead of wards.
It's going to be tricky. At least to a certain extent, if he's not alone, he can turn pretty well as Lux and maybe trade his life for a carry's life if he's able to hit a binding. As Rascal has so much control here. And, you know, we'll never know what reality we could have lived in if it was Graves top in the Gwen jungle, but I think a lot of the issues that DWG KIA are facing this early game would have been resolved. Now, they obviously have some strengths with this, too. The late game that Gwen provides is going to be insane in terms of team fighting and raw damage. That won't change even if she does find herself behind in gold now, because DWG KIA are hoping to get to that late game regardless. And it's not a comp for KT that doesn't scale either. So look at this damage on the Eclipse. Don't build Hullbreaker, please, on Jason matchups like this.
That's with bone plating as well. It's not a great feel overall. Right now, as KT, they say, well, you don't really have a Lux. Let's go for this dragon.
These champions in the mid lane are so fragile to farm with against the Eclipse Jace. So you can't control Prio very easily. Even though DWG KIA have insanely good wave clear with this comp. Like, it's really crazy how quickly they should be able to clear minions. But in order to get to those waves and control them and push them in without a turret, it just puts you at so much risk. You see where Veigar is going right now, he's waiting for waves. You see where deokdam is going right now, he's waiting for waves, because you can't go up there, you can't walk up to that minion wave anymore without vision on the other side of the map. And like you said, the Lux problem is a big one.
Oh, he's trying to take the 1v1. Rascal takes a huge amount of damage, not really shelling out too much of his own, but there it is. Finally going to get that accelerated shock blast. Look at Burdol, he's running the other way. Aria coming in from behind and is able to help pick that up. Life, unfortunately, with the kill secure. But a kill's a kill. They get the Canyon, who had invaded to try to set it up.
This is, that one play got a giggle from the Korean casters, as we heard, and I think it's a good idea if you have enough vision to support this sort of push into pick potential, but you didn't have enough vision to know that he would be alone and that you would be able to pull that off. And unfortunately, as it turns out, he dies for it. More gold goes over to KT. And as DWG KIA, you can make a proactive play like this to put yourself back into the game, or you could just play to your already existing win conditions, right? Then they go for the pick here onto Rascal, but he's not alone. He has a Karma, which can help him survive here. And then he stays, he turns again. And this gives just plenty of time for Aria, who has complete mid control during this stage of the game with no enemy mid turret. The ability to just walk up here, freebie. Look at all the vision now that KT have around the Baron pit, too. It's, I think, as DWG KIA, you do have to just sit back and wait, unfortunately.
They saw him on that control ward in the river that actually just got replaced, right as I mentioned it. And he walked over a control ward and just didn't do as good of a job as he should have with clearing all the vision out before going for a play like that. You can see that the gold overall is even in every lane except the top lane, where Rascal is Omega Ed. I mean, over 2,000 gold right now. ShowMaker is nearly dying, just running into Rascal. This guy is the most fed guy on the Rift.
Yeah, and Burdol was coming, but he wasn't anywhere nearby. You just have to respect that Rascal is fed. I think DWG KIA not respecting the lead that KT have right now with a composition that will use it extremely well in side lanes like this. But it's ShowMaker's desperation, right? He doesn't want to be sitting under bottom turret, basically out there trying to get minions. Like, he wants to be ahead in farm. He wants to be sucking up all the minions on the map, getting all the AP that he can get, that a Veigar wants so desperately to have. But he has to sit back and wait because of that early dominance that KT have. That extra kill that goes over to KT because of that play from Ken on the top side also just limits your chances so much here. And Aria can kill Canyon too shortly. You know, he's going for early Shadow Flame here, and he's going to be very, very strong if he gets any more picks in this game. You have to respect that. You just have to sit back and farm. And that's not Damwon Kia's way. Like, Damwon Kia is not behind early very often. So sometimes it feels a little bit weird to watch them in these moments.
Yeah, in general. Canyon is going to be able to pick up that Rift Arrow. It doesn't look like in total they were in position to handle that. As yes, the Shadow Flame will be coming in. I think it's a very good choice this early on. Basically, nobody has MR except the Merc Dreads on Veigar. Other than that, yeah, you're not looking at too much. And yeah, in general, you're just going to be looking to one tap, one combo people, so that will be good.
Other item to point out here is Canyon's build. He's going for lethality graves just like we saw yesterday, and I think that's really strong against any sort of squishy mid-assassin, because it means that if you survive the initial burst, or if, for example, Aria goes for a charm play and you dodge it, you flash it, etc., you can actually blow him up because you have so much lethality, and the Aria is not going to build tanky. So, you know, that's a good build choice here. He went for Collector second.
Kellin's just waiting here, seeing if he can catch anyone. It's a very good spot. We've seen a lot of plays be made in that exact spot. Usually I feel like it's LeBlanc and Lee Sin for some reason. But definitely can do it on Lux as well. And right now we're watching a game where it's like Fed Jace exists against squishy targets.
Yeah.
And we'll see if anything changes. I think the fact that it's Cloud Soul is very good for Damwon Kia because they can kind of just let it go and say, okay, well, if they get Cloud Soul, that's whatever. Maybe we'll scale by the time that Elder hits, and that's fine. You know, maybe even KT, you're like, well, we're just not going to take the Clouds then. Yeah, well, I mean, KT will take this one for sure, but they can very easily play around the fact that they have Soul Point under threat, and it's very difficult for Damwon Kia to farm, right? Because of the lack of turrets now across the map. All outers are down. And yes, Veigar is starting to pick up some extra CS here, but that's because a lot of the farm has been given over to the Jace and the Ezreal, because KT know where their bread is buttered. This is no longer a game about the Ahri. She can threaten the Lux that's trying to ward, as you've mentioned. She can threaten the Graves. And obviously a Charm can win you a game, as we've seen already from Zeka. But the money here for KT is going into the Ezreal, going into the Jace, and Veigar isn't getting enough of a lead in farm, right? We're not seeing him pick up too many AP stacks in this game because he's been on the back foot. He hasn't had any control. To farm is actually to put yourself in danger as Damwon Kia. So they have to just kind of hope this game goes 35-minute plus. That is your win condition right now, is to survive. This is now a, turret defense game. Uh-oh, Aria just gets totally caught here, and the damage is not going to be enough because Karma is there. Right in position to save his life. That's a flash and ignite used there by Kellin to make it happen. And Aria just walks away. You can see that they do have potential for picks like that, especially if they have vision. But that has been an issue here for Damwon. As KT, I think you're just trying to roll this as fast as possible. I think the, don't take the Cloud Soul bit was a bit of a joke. But you can try to get that Elder as soon as possible and try to end the game.
Well, yeah, and, the amount of resources that had to be dropped to get one turret is traded by just a Jace getting one on the bottom side by himself alone. And as Damwon Kia, you're trading even in structures in a moment like this, which, considering how their comp works, is actually pretty good for them. But the tides will have to turn here, and will KT be in a position to take this Drake is the real question. Damwon Kia haven't been able to consistently remove vision. If you look across the river right now, you could see 3 control wards placed, some deep wards in Damwon's jungle on the top side. It's very difficult for Damwon to actually try to group up and set up on this Drake because their composition is so fragile. And one stray shock blast onto basically anybody, straight up, even the Gwen. You get that stray shock blast before you set up for the objective and you just can't take it. So I think Damwon Kia will just have to give this one up and sit back and wait. As unfortunate as it is, this is not a turning point on the Soul. We've seen so many, okay, 3 Drakes to 0, but the turning point is the scaling team fights and stops the Soul and has the comeback. I don't know if this is going to be one of those scenarios.
KT are doing a great job of trying to push their edge right now, but this is a little bit overzealous. They need to wait for the Ezreal and the Karma, as Life and Aiming will get here. Event Horizon is going to miss. Teleport used by Aria, as they will be able to mostly get away from that. The Karma value you can see from ahead is just insane, as a lot of damage once again onto Aria. And the thing is that Damwon Kia are just playing this very passively. They're like, no, we're just going to sit back and farm. It's fine. It's Cloud Soul, whatever. We're just going to clear waves, as you mentioned before, Wolf. They're very, very good at that. They can set up traps. They can set up event horizons. They can clear waves for days. And that's exactly what they're doing. So KT, while they are ahead, they're definitely trying to push their edge, but it's not the easiest game in the world here.
They're going to lose this turret no matter what. I would have liked to see Burdol pushing top when you know that all 5 are there and Aria use teleport. But they are just so... I feel like Damwon Kia are so hoping for KT to screw up. Like, they're like so hoping they're going to overextend. Like, we're all here and they make a mistake. We're right back in there. And, you know, like that Canyon play topside where he looked for the pick onto Rascal. Moves like that will beat out a weaker team. And KT, you know, is the, technically speaking, weaker team, but only by 1 game series here in the LCK. And they're playing this mid-game brilliantly. Would have liked to see a little bit more control gained around Baron, for example, during this 5-man group up for KT on bottom side. Because you didn't get control of the bottom side of the map from this play either, nor did you get control of the Drake. And KT are just sitting pretty. You know, I'm waiting for that Cloud Soul to hit. We're going to hit that next power spike for us, and we're just looking for the Elder fight before you guys really come online.
Yeah, like you said, they are going in for vision, but with all that rotation down to the bottom side of the map, that at this point is not necessarily that important. You want to be going for this Baron, especially with the immense amount of Baron damage that you have. They lost Scuttle. Scuttle vision is there. It's going to make it much more difficult for KT to go for that, so they're just going to chill. They're just going to wait for this Cloud Drake. They have a ton of vision around here, even very aggressive control wards, which are very great for controlling vision in the enemy jungle. You can see that Damwon Kia, they don't even want to enter that jungle right now.
Yeah, I mean, this is Damwon Kia. They can't set up for this Drake. They can't fight it. KT just going to push this wave through, make sure it's not a trade. The reason why KT are not grouped up as it spawns is because they don't have the Scuttle, as you mentioned, and they just want to make sure Damwon are not going to get the free trade. Because that's one way that Damwon Kia get a lot of extra gold in their pockets and a little bit of freebie map controls if they're able to get a Baron for this. So you could just 2-man this while also pushing this mid wave. And as Damwon Kia, you know, you're starting to get to a point where you can rush this Baron down, but you don't have vision control. Like, you finally cleared the control ward in the pit just in time for KT to have Prio again in mid and a Cloud Soul. KT have played their lead about as perfectly as you can, especially considering the Ari in the composition.
Aiming is totally fine here. The Ezreal just able to hop. And you can see he's got a Karma right behind him. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty slow. I think that KT could have done a little bit more in terms of being proactive around the big objectives, but they're still winning pretty handily, as Rascal is going to get caught out here. Let's see how quickly KT respond with this, as an insane amount of damage goes on a ShowMaker. Rascal's really fighting against them both right now, as the mist is down for Burdol. ShowMaker, he's pretty squishy as well. He does have the Zhonya's and the Everfrost, I suppose, but this is taking forever.
This is taking forever, but KT are not getting anything on the other side of the map, so this is still a huge win for Damwon Kia. They decided to just push mid and top, during this, instead of actually starting Baron. They cleared vision when this started, by the way. There were 2 players from KT, I believe it was Aria and Life, on the Baron, but they did not actually start it up even with the vision control they had. That's the first kind of, I mean, you were kind of hinting at they haven't really pushed the objective control. This time I think they could have perhaps traded a Jace for a Baron. They at least control the waves. But the waves aren't going to win you this game anymore as KT. Before, they really helped set up for 4 Drakes in a row, right? But look at what I'm talking about. See the Aria and the Karma on the top side of the map? They've cleared out the vision. And instead of actually trying to push for that and saying, okay, a Lux and a Caitlyn can try to deny us, they just back off.
It's like doing wolves.
Yeah.
Like, that's not... Any team on top, like, we're going to see T1 later. T1 would have been like, Baron immediately.
Because there's no...
Do Baron. We're waiting for this.
There's no risk either. Like, if you somehow mess this up or you don't think you have a little bit less damage than you thought, then you just walk away for free, you know? There's no risk.
Yeah.
They're going to do it now, but this gave Damwon Kia a long time to respond. They have some extra prio in mid and top that helped them set up for this because they didn't start Baron and actually controlled waves instead. And Damwon Kia... not quite yet in a position to contest this. They have no vision. They can't go through this choke point. Look at Aria's positioning here. Damwon Kia are going to maybe even lose Canyon. Nope.
It will be okay. The luck shield will come through, and they did spot it with the ultimate from Kellin, but there's, again, no way for them to enter this area right now against this amount of damage and poke, as they do get the Event Horizon down, but that's a term on the ShowMaker. It's the immediate stasis, as Damwon are trying to fight this, but... it's not happening. No. You know, like, Ezreal wasn't there. KT don't really care. As, yeah, we do have Canyon now here, but aiming very strong. He will have to flash away just to make sure, and now all 5 of them have the Baron.
It's the rare Duskblade Ezreal solo queue build, by the way, coming through here. Not going to go for Crown because there isn't really any blow-up pressure for him. There could have been if it was a different game for Veigar, right? But, you know... in this particular game, he's like, no, I just also want to burn down these extremely squishy champions as quickly as possible. And if he gets 1 kill, he becomes Master Yi in a team fight, basically, and is just untargetable, and you can't do anything about it. I think Damwon Kia's chances of taking this game are slowly fading away because KT have pushed their lead very well. Now, has it been perfect? No. We point out some of the errors and some of the ways they could have pushed it even further. But they have such an oppressive amount of vision control and wave control now with this Baron buff that it becomes very difficult for Damwon Kia to make any proactive plays. And to a certain point, you know, the Ezreal becomes so deadly that the sit back at scale argument doesn't work anymore if you can never leave your base. And, you know, we're almost there as KT have control of this next Elder fight.
We're just watching Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles here on the side of Damwon Kia, right? They're just in the shell. And they're just sitting there trying not to lose, right? And scaling up, which they are, but, I mean, that's not the way that League of Legends is really played anymore, you know? We have Elder Drake, we have the Baron pushes that are stronger. It's you know, it's a way that you can play the comp that they have, but...
when the caster said it was...
not sure it's a winning play, you know?
When the caster said it was a scaling meta, this is not what they meant. You know, it is a scaling meta, and it is a comp that scales very well. And losing those first 2 turrets, I think, really hurt Damwon Kia's ability to get Caitlyn through her power trough. Even though she got the plates bottom side and got some gold, the fact that she couldn't farm mid because of her Q nerf and because of the fact that there's an Ari who could blow her up, there's a fed Jace that Rascal is piloting that got such early lethality that she can't farm freely, can't farm easily, finds herself extremely far behind here, and by the time she's now starting to get online with a rapid fire cannon or Bloodthirster, it's too late. You don't have control over the map, and Damwon Kia just have to, you know, basically try to look for a miracle fight around Elder, because that's a nice catch.
It's going to be a decent amount of damage on the Cuzz, but again, he went Force of Nature. Like, this isn't... he's not messing around. This is what I was talking about, right? There's an immense amount of AP damage on the side of Damwon Kia. You build Force of Nature and you have Karma, and if you're ahead, Cuzz never dies. And every single part of that statement came true in this game. And Canyon's gonna, you know, Canyon and Duckdown will have to do enough damage to him, I suppose.
Will the Damwon Kia, they can win any team fight from behind mantra come true? Because that's what needs to happen here. This needs to be the ultimate Damwon Kia from behind, best team fighting team in the world. Can they do it? Because without the perfect fight here, this game ends with the Elder Drake for KT.
Well, Burdol already took a third of his health in damage, getting poked out there by aiming. An immense amount of poke damage right now with the Jace and the Ezreal. Burdol is just trying to push this bottom wave, and he's getting cut down by the Ezreal here, as now even Cuzz is getting into the fight. With all the shields that are available, life's just going in between the two of them. But Rascal, he just gets burst down there in the brush by himself.
Big overextension.
Yeah. Down he goes.
Big overextension. He's flashless not only did he die, but he lost his flash. And I don't think KT can buy 40 more seconds of time here. They don't have the poke anymore without that. I mean, sure, Ezreal can poke a little bit here. But he needs to start hitting these Qs. There's a nice true shot.
It's crazy how Damwon are still alive with this Phalanx composition and the way they're playing it.
6,000 gold behind, but they might make it work.
Hey, they're really making a big push for this Elder Drake. I mean, it's still a lot of Fed members on the side, and there goes Burdol. I mean, he's immediately dead. Canyon's still in the pit, but deokdam and Kellin trying to kill Aiming, but they cannot, as Aiming will go invisible. He picks up 2, and the rest of them fall down like a house of cards. Down will go ShowMaker eventually. And that will be the ace here for the side of KT.
Aria with the ult over the wall, hits the charm onto Burdol. Once Burdol's down, you don't have any tankiness in this composition. You don't have any staying power. You're not going to be able to sustain through that very, very strong level 18 Ezreal who's just chucking Qs at you. Second Rascal respawns. He's not coming to a team fight. He's coming to end the game. This was a masterclass of how to get ahead early with lane prio. We talked about it. KT on red side. They get a counter pick for Rascal. He gets ahead. Early lethality. And that's all she writes here for game number 1. KT Rolster taking out DWG KIA in very spectacular fashion. They choked them out of the map. They